Think everyone ought to have this as not only part of their everyday use, but also within your preps. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I'm inside my 1991 Jamboree because now it's time to get some chores done. I went on a little trip this last weekend with the family, and every time that we get back from a trip, there's a few things that I always do to the Jamboree. Now, the first thing is to clean it up, to make sure that anything that's not supposed to be in here doesn't stay in here, to make sure that everything is vacuumed, all the surface areas are wiped off with some kind of a disinfectant. But as long as you just make sure that everything is nice and clean, it's going to make your next camping experience a lot better. When you're in tight, confined spaces with multiple people and multiple pets, the cleaner it is, the more comfortable that you're going to be, and the tidier it is as well, the more comfortable you're going to be. So although we are starting to use more and more of the storage area within the Jamboree, we're never going to get to the point where it's going to be packed with a whole bunch of stuff that we just don't need. Why? Because the better experience, the more that the family is going to want to go out on camping trips. And I'll tell you what, been having a lot of fun with it. So besides the first thing that I just told you that I do, which is pretty much empty it out and clean everything up, one of the last things that I do, the second to last thing that I do that I'm going to show you, is I always ensure to put this Ozone machine on. Now, they make a whole bunch of different ones, but I noticed that my Ozone machine, this one is called odor free, I believe it is, the Villa 1000. I don't even know if they sell this kind anymore. I know that they sell like Villa 2000, Villa 3000s, but this one I've had for over 10 years and it's never let me down. And I'm going to make a case to you why I think everyone ought to have this as not only part of their everyday use, especially if you have like a camper or an RV, but also within your preps. Let me tell you what it is that I've found that this machine is supposed to do and what it has done for us. Now, excuse me if I'm a little sweaty, but it is hot in here and I don't have an air conditioner in here running right now. I do have my dehumidifier running though, which is one of those things that I always leave on in here when it's not in use. It just helps keep the space from getting like mildewy. You know how things smell mildewy after they've been sitting for a while? So anyways, the story behind this Ozone machine is when my wife and I, or my family and I, first moved up to Alaska, we were in the military and we were assigned a house on base. Well, that house, to make a long story short, it was not properly cleaned and or sanitized. It was pretty nasty. So we took it upon ourselves, because we really needed somewhere to stay, to go ahead and clean that house from top to bottom, literally from ceiling to floor, under the appliances and everything. It was pretty nasty, and it had a strong odor of two things: of cleaning detergents that they used to try to get the smoke smell out of the walls, because it used to be a smoking residence where people smoked in there, and also the pet dander and the pet smells that were in the walls as well. Like I said, very nasty. Well, they couldn't get that stuff out, and once we signed the contract, that's it. It's our responsibility. Well, the first thing that we did is we ordered a medical grade air filtration system, which we still have. And by the way, I will show you a new one that SIMPURE sent me, because that's one of the things that I'm going to add on to doing every time that we come back from a camping trip. We ended up buying the medical filtration system, or medical grade filtration system, and it did a little bit of good, but just not that great, because the smell was still there. It's just that the air was being filtered through a big old carbon filter that system had, and it was making it temporarily okay. However, we could not find a way of getting the smell out of the walls. And my wife researched it and she found this thing. And what this does is it creates O3, or ozone. And what it does is the air passes through this machine, and there are some plates in there which I'm going to change today because I have to change them. There are some plates in there that with electricity allow them to break up O2 molecules, oxygen molecules, into O1s, just plain oxygen, and then they go ahead and attach themselves to another O2 molecule, making it O3, or ozone. I'm not 100% sure on the science of it, but I can tell you what, this machine works. What does it do, AP? What it does is it attacks smells at the microbe level. at the molecular level, and it kind of like destroys that smelly cell. It just goes away forever. Depending on the severity of the smell that you have would depend on how long you would run this for. And of course, read the instructions, which are printed on the top, and it's great that they are, because you can remind yourself that you're not supposed to be in the same space with this while it's running. You're not supposed to leave pets or anything like that. Another thing that this is great for is that it actually destroys tiny bugs, including, from what I understand, viruses. So having this as part of your preps, just for the fact that this can destroy germs and viruses, in my opinion, is a great thing to have. Now, why am I showing this off to you today? Well, because it's time for me to change the plates on it, and I figured that I'd show you how to change the plates to show you how easy it is, so that you can see that a machine like this is pretty much a one-time investment. Although this was a little bit pricey, I think on the upper half of $300. It has lasted us for 10 years, and we do use it on a regular basis, and now even more so that we use it inside of our RV after every trip. It's just a way to crispen up the inside to make sure that if any smells got in, that they don't stay in, and you're always ready to go to your next camping trip with a nice, fresh RV. Now, one of the good things about the plates that they have is that they don't require any tools to change. And when you see how easy it is to change these, you're going to be like, well, I wouldn't mind owning a machine like this because of the things that it does. And let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is an awesome machine. This is one of the best purchases that we've ever made because it just comes in handy. I remember we had a cat, Miss Lucy, who unfortunately passed away because she started getting seizures and stuff like that. She was having a lot of seizures, and every time she had a seizure, guess what happened? She urinated all over the floor. Well, we ended up maintaining her in a room until we figured out what the veterinarian was going to want to do with her. In that room, she was having a seizure probably every hour of the day for probably 3 or 4 days until the vet got back to us. The medications they gave us for her didn't work, etc., etc. Eventually, the vet said she has to be put down because there's no way that she can live like this, having a seizure every hour or so. Well, like I said, that room was a little bit stinky. So what did we do? My wife cleaned the rug really good, shampooed the rug and all that kind of stuff. And then we stuck this machine in there for like a full day on high. We sealed off the room, sealed off the window, and then when everything was said and done, we went ahead and vented that room out through the window outside, and there's no smell whatsoever. And this is where the magic comes from, ladies and gentlemen. These are the little plates that actually make the ozone once you have them inserted in the machine. All you do is just take this little simple filter off the back, and you see how this one has 3, 1, 2, 3. I ended up getting 4 just because it came in a pack of 4, but all you do is you take this out just like this, and you can see this itself is kind of dummy proof. It has arrows on how you put it back in. And you put it in the exact same opposite way that you took it out. Now, AP, how do you know that you have to change them? Well, once you've used this enough, you can tell how the O3 smells, how the ozone smells. And it is not a smell that you want to be smelling in all the time. The reason that I know why it smells like it does is because I'm usually the one that vents out the room or vents out the RV once we're done using this machine, so I can tell what it smells like. And it can be pretty strong. However, I could tell that the smell of the ozone was getting less and less. So I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and buy some new plates for another 10 years worth of use. And these plates are not expensive, ladies and gentlemen. I think these were about 30 or 40 bucks to get a new set of 3. Oh, look at that, it's 3. I thought it was 4 in there. But it's like 20 or 30 bucks to get a new set of 3. And like I said, these original ones have lasted us in excess of 10 years now. And in order to use this, it's very simple as well. All you have to do is manage these 2 buttons. The top one is going to ask you how strong of an ozone output do you want it to be. I always leave it on the strongest, all right, because I want it to work as best as it can possibly work. And then the bottom one pretty much has a timer. You can put a timer for however many hours you want it to run. I always put it on hold right there, which means that if I leave this here for 3 days, it's going to run for 3 days. Now, this is what I do. I leave this thing running all day long, every day in between camping trips, along with my dehumidifier, along with a fan that I have in here that's always going around to help the air circulate as well. Remember, I want our camping experience to be good, and I don't want any moldy smells in the air while we're trying to sleep in here and such. So ladies and gentlemen, along with my fan, my O3 or ozone machine, and my dehumidifier that I leave on all the time whenever I'm not camping and the motorhome's just on standby, SIMPURE, or their other name is Membrane Solutions, told me, hey, do you want an air purifier for your camper? And I said, absolutely, that is a great idea. And the reason is because whenever I do some vacuuming, there's always one or two little pet hairs or something that I see floating around in the air. And I was like, leaving this on along with your ozone machine and the dehumidifier is like the perfect trio of things to leave on to make sure that you have a nice, fresh motorhome to go to next time that you're going camping. But let me show you what this thing is. This thing is a monster. And full disclosure, SIMPURE did send me this at no cost so that I can show it to you all. I'm going to show you some of the functions that this has, and I've never really seen an air filtration system that will show you what the quality of your air is. Not how your filter is doing, but what the quality of the air is. This little port right here, you take this little door off, and if you can take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is a clean air sensor, and they recommend that every month or so, or every 2 months, it says that you come in and you just wipe this up and clean it up to make sure that it's working properly, so that it'll let you know whether the air, not the filter, but that the air is good quality. And this is where your compartment is for your actual filter. Now take a look at how big this filter is. When you first get it, you're going to have to take the plastic off that comes around it. But this thing is a pretty big, heavy-duty filter. You can see that inside it's got a pre-filter. It's also got an incorporated HEPA filter and carbon filter to make sure that your air is going to be pretty clean. Now, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I can hear what you're thinking through the internet. You're saying, AP, where do you have room to put all this stuff? You have your air dehumidifier. Well, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, the air dehumidifier, whenever we're on the road, we don't bring it back in the house. We just stick it in here, and it fits perfect in there, along with up here, in addition to some of the toys for the dogs, is where we put the O3 machine. You can see that I have one of my first aid kits right here. So this compartment is perfect for all of those things. And this right here is just an outdoor rug. The new air purifier is going to go in this. I believe they call these wardrobes, but it fits perfectly in here, and it still allows us a whole bunch of room to put anything else that we need to put in there. You can see I have one of my SIMPURE gravity-fed water filtration systems there. I've got some tape right there. I've got some of my damp rid down there to make sure that it doesn't get muggy in there. My vacuum lives up here, ladies and gentlemen, and then we still have all of this extra room left over for us to get the things that we need during our trip. Like, look at this. This is full of pet treats. It's got a couple of my gas canisters along with one of my small camping stoves. We keep some of our thermocells right here to make sure that the skeeters don't ruin our trips. And like I said, there's still plenty of room for us to put everything that we need in order to have a great camping trip. Down there is where we put our seats, and in addition to where we put our seats is where we put our solar panels. And let me show you how I set up my solar panels and how my Mega 3 is set up behind this RV, because the way I have it set up is pretty nice, and I do have to finish charging my Mega 3 because I wasn't able to finish charging it during our last trip. By the time that we were done camping yesterday and we had to pack up, we had only had enough sun to get the Mega 3 up to, I think it was like 67% or so. So being that we still have several hours of sunlight left, I'm going to go ahead and hook up our 2 OUPES solar panels to the Mega 3 and hopefully top it off without having to use any electricity from the grid. One thing that I like about these new OUPES solar panels is that they have a pretty long wire for you to work with. So there's really no need to get an extension cord for them unless you really want to be far away from the unit. I think the wires that these come with are, I would say they're at least 15 feet long. But as you can see, they're plenty long enough to work with them pretty comfortably. Remember, each of these solar panels at about 240 watts each, but they're not 100% efficient, so you have to take that into consideration, and also you have to take into consideration the angle of the sun and everything. But right now you can see that we are up to about 240 or so, over 260, 270, 280, 290. We're at 317. So it's settling at about 320 or so. Oh, it's still going up. 340. It topped out at about 358. I think that's pretty darn good. And there should be plenty of power input in order to fill this up in the next few hours. Very simple controls, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see right now, it is off. But what we have to do is hit that to turn it on. See, simple. Now we're going to go ahead and increase the speed of our fan by hitting that. See how it says 3? And now we hit it again, 4. And that right there is filtering, ladies and gentlemen. Now this has the ability of you being able to hook it up to Wi-Fi, getting an app, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not doing any of that. I am not the app kind of a guy to hook up a air filter to an app, okay? But you can do all of that, and that is all within the owner's manual. Very easy to do. You just have to want to do it, and I don't want to do it. If you want, you can set a timer, which I'm not setting a timer. I'm just letting it run continuous. Let's see what this is for. This right here is for you to turn off the light if you want to turn off all the lights so that you can save a couple of watts. But I'd rather have it on. And of course, this is your on-off. This here is your Wi-Fi connection, which I'm not doing. That you can see is your filter, and it says that your filter is at 100%. So the dirtier that your filter gets, the less that's going to be from 100%. But this right here is telling you what your air quality is. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very simple machine, and it should be a very simple machine because it has one job to do and one job alone. And that is to filter the air inside whatever space you want it to. And ladies and gentlemen, before we sign off, let's take a look and see where we're at with our solar. So if you remember when I first showed you our Mega 3, it was at 64%. And look at that, it's going up about 10% to 74. We're still pulling about 330 plus watts from those two OUPES solar panels. So we're doing pretty good. That was about an hour ago or so that I showed you this initially. So about another 2 hours, maybe 3, this will be completely full. And it looks like we have plenty of sky left for our sun to make its way all the way over there in about the next 3 hours or so. Well, that's going to be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you got something out of it. If anything, a little bit of entertainment. I know that this is not really about prepping, but this channel, for those of you that are new here, it's not just about prepping. It started out that way because I really had something to say, and I wanted to share the things that I knew about preparedness. And I still stick to it, that you need to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, that you need to get prepared, because in your lifetime you will need your preps. But I do like to include videos like this that to me are a lot of fun to make and do not include any of the gloom and doom that happens in life every day. Yes, I believe we have to know about some of those things that's going on a daily basis to keep us not only informed but motivated to stay prepared. So having said that, I'll show you the chickens on our next video. God bless every one of you. Thank you very much for your support and being here. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.